It's easy to find why you would want to come to a pistol class. Because a pistol is basically and conceptually a defensive administration. It's a weapon to save your life. Its purpose is to stop the fight that somebody else starts. That's something that sometimes confuses people on the other side. It's a fight-stopping device. It has much the same capacity as a seatbelt in a car. It's something you're not going to use very often, but if you need to use it, it's awfully nice to have.
Welcome to the Make Ready with the Experts podcast. I'm your host, Fernando Coelho. We're here at Panteo Studios bringing you the very best from in and around the firearms industry, covering topics like guns, gear, firearms training, self-defense, and so much more. Everything from industry insights about the latest gear and training techniques to hunting, survival, and empty hands. But this isn't just about the guns, folks. This is about the stories. The military, law enforcement, and civilian stories of heroics protecting our country, fellow citizens, friends, and neighbors.
Panteo.
MakeReady.tv is the official website of Panteo Productions and features over 5,000 segments from world-famous instructors. With new video titles added each month, MakeReady.tv is widely known as the Netflix of firearms training. However, we really do go beyond that. We have survival series, we have empty hands, we have edged weapons, we cover armorer skills, we've done documentaries, even medical, and hunting. With your subscription, you will have access to an extensive library of videos. To be quite honest, we got a lot. Be sure to visit MakeReady.tv and subscribe today to stream our exclusive content to any device, anywhere, anytime. This is content that just may save your life or the life of someone you love. We hope you enjoyed the first episode covering the history of Gunsite and its legendary founder, Jeff Cooper. In part 2 of this series, we dive into the later years of Gunsite, its sale, and progress into the modern era. We will hear from past and current instructors, students, and Jeff Cooper's wife, Janelle, giving us the complete story of its changing of the guard and its progress into the new era. In 1992, Jeff Cooper sold Gunsite to a former student. The school was renamed to Gunsite Training Academy. Jeff had high hopes for the future of Gunsite, but things didn't go well for long. Although Jeff Cooper and his wife Janelle continued to live at the Sconce, Jeff was barred from giving lectures and even being on the ranges. This period is considered by many as the dark days of Gunsite.
I admit it, Jeff admitted it, we're not business people.
This is Janelle Cooper, wife of Jeff Cooper.
We sold to someone who wasn't the least bit interested in perpetuating Gunsite. He just loved the idea of being Mr. Gunsite and driving around in a Hummer, and he let everything go to rack and ruin. And fortunately, Buzz Mills came along and rescued everybody and everything.
To distinguish between the original Gunsite run by Cooper and the new Gunsite, the original Gunsite was called Orange Gunsite by graduates, and the new one was called Gray Gunsite. There were many changes in teaching staff, but luckily Gunsite continued to have solid instructors. On December 10th, 1999, the school was sold to a new owner, Buzz Mills, also a graduate of Orange Gunsite. The school was renamed to Gunsite Academy. The instruction at the school returned to that of the modern technique as taught by Jeff Cooper. Equally important, Jeff Cooper took part in the instruction of the classes at Gunsite, and instructors from Orange Gunsite returned to teach at the new Gunsite.
Yeah, I think that's the first time I ever got a blast like that. Well, this is the first for a lot of things, and we're glad to be experimenting with new practices. This is the first of the, I say, new format. We've had a couple of classes here that were under the new administration, and they worked pretty well, but we didn't have the situation set up as well as we have now.
It was a very, very wonderful day when Buzz Mills came over to visit with Jeff Cooper and told him his intentions of buying Gunsite and explained where he came from. He was a Marine, and he had taken a class. I don't know how many classes at Gunsite he'd taken, but he had taken the 250 for sure. And he was retiring and from his very lucrative business, and that it was what he wanted to do is to buy Gunsite.
I had been out here several times in the 90s, and I had gotten to know Richard G., who was the owner at the time, and he did not prosper as well as one might have thought he should have, or as you know, his plans didn't come together for sure as well as he thought they would have, and so the time had come when he thought, you know, he needed to give the project up. So he called me, and I was living in Florida at the time, and I had retired then. I flunked retirement 3 times, so I came back, and we made a deal, and I took over Gunsite.
I, in my mind, envisioned Buzz as a knight on a white horse, riding forward, yay, and rescuing us, and rescuing Gunsite. And I haven't really changed my mind about that. Buzz has put an awful lot of thought and, shall we say, blood, sweat, and tears into maintaining Gunsite and making it the very important and successful enterprise that it is.
Probably the best, my fondest memory was the day that we settled on Gunsite, September 30th, 1999. We came out after we closed the deal in Prescott. We came out to the sconce and brought a great big magnum of champagne, and we tried to finish that.
One of the most influential people in the firearms industry, Owen Buzz Mills, is both the owner of Gunsite Academy and a National Rifle Association board member. Aside from his roles, Buzz pilots his own jet and recently started a new career as an EMT, all despite being in his 70s. Oh, and he ran for governor of Arizona.
I'm Buzz Mills. I'm running for governor because it's time for a new day. Come join me in getting Arizona back to work. Orange Gunsite refers to the period from 76 to 91 that Jeff owned Gunsite, and the logo had orange in it. The letters Gunsite were orange under the Black Raven. And then during the 90s, the logo was changed to just a static bird, if you would. We've seen that everywhere. It was just a static bird, and that was embroidered on gray polo shirts. And so the instructor, cadre, when they came to work, they wore the gray polo shirt. And so that got to be known as Gray Gunsite. And I don't know what the distinguish is other than the people from Gunsite that attended Gunsite during Jeff's tenure are very proud to say that they attended Orange Gunsite. But I think the people that have attended in this century have gotten an equally good experience.
It is the legacy of Jeff Cooper and a commitment to his teachings that drives Buzz today. However, it is not to say that Gunsite has not evolved with the times. Most notably, upgrades to the facility to better accommodate students.
It's a labor of love, because what Gunsite does, nobody else does, nobody else can do. And it's important to me that we keep teaching people how to fight. We teach people personal responsibility, and it's Americana. Gunsite is Americana, and it just had to go on. I was afraid that it wouldn't go on, and so I was able to put together the people and the capital to rebuild it and bring it up to better than it ever has been. We took a blank sheet of paper and we laid out the ranges the way that would fit the best and service the most utility for the available size of the land. And so we took some ranges down, we rebuilt other ranges, we added ranges, we moved ranges. Because at the time when I got here in '99, we had conflicting ranges. If you had a rifle class, you couldn't have a shotgun class. If you had a class with a carbine class, you couldn't have a shotgun class, and you couldn't have a rifle class. The impacts from ranges that were constructed interfered with one another. So we straightened those out. And then I had an engineer come in. I told you about the road washing out when I was here. With our little bit of a monsoon, I had an engineer come in and we redesigned the roads and the drainage systems. So we built all the roads new. We built all the drainage systems first, of course, and then access to the ranges. And then we put a bathroom on or between, within walking distance of each range, so that we weren't watering the shrubbery on both sides. And the girls really liked that a lot better than they did back in the 80s, you know. So it was a lot more user-friendly. I'll tell you, I came from the customer service industry business for years and years, for 25, 30 years. And so when I got here, customer service is the next thing. You know, people will patronize you if you take good care of them, if they get good service. And so that's what I concentrated on, was how to make this more customer friendly, because we had an awfully big investment that we had to pay off, and it was going to take a lot of people over a long period of time to do that. So, you know, then when we got that all done, then we paved everything. We built this classroom here, which is 3 times the size of the previous classroom. The new pro shop that's 5 times, 6, 7 times as big as the one prior to that. So we did just things like that so that when people got here, we could accommodate them a whole lot better.
Buzz dedicated his ownership to the idea of continuing to teach the principles that Jeff Cooper established. In fact, Cooper taught classes under Mill's ownership until his health would no longer allow it.
We maintained the same programs, the same doctrine that Cooper had always had, and the same instructors, and we kept the same instructor development program that Jeff had. We still use that program today that he developed, 35, 40 years ago, in our instructor development cadre. We don't have a lot of instructors. We don't need a lot of instructors. Just about all of our guys work sometime every year. And so we keep current, everybody keeps current. If something new comes out, somebody sees something new on a TV show, we don't incorporate that immediately into our training doctrine. We've got a committee that reviews doctrine, reviews the threat landscape, what's going on out in the world. We've got an active shooter program now. We didn't have that 10 years ago. That was not a situation that you hear in the news. So we've developed a lot of the technique and along with our core doctrine to manage those threats. When I first took a class, the doctrine, the instructors, my first instructor is still teaching here today, and that's been 30 years. So the doctrine is the same, the instructors are the same, the methods are the same. All of the meat, you would say, is the same. What's a little bit different is getting here, getting into the class, finding your way around, options on what's available to you in the pro shop. I came here and had to put my name on a list to get a Gunsite shirt back in, I think, 91 or 92, something like that. And then when one came in about 3 months later, they mailed it to me. But so now, that was one of the big things when I came here. I said, by God, if somebody wants a shirt, we're going to have a shirt their size. And we do. So, that's it. It's just the customer interface is better. The material's the same. The firearms are the same. I took Jeff for a ride one time after we'd spent all this money, and we had the new drainage in, and we had the new ranges in, and the new pavement in, and I took him for a ride in the pickup, and I got him. He got him back over to the sconce, and I said, "Well, what do you think?" He said, "All that's not going to make them shoot any better." And so. And he's right about that. He's right about that. The core doctrine, it didn't do anything for that. And but we don't want to just willy-nilly charge in and start changing a bunch of stuff about the doctrine, because what we've done, what Jeff did, still works today.
Our streaming video subscribers of MakeReady.tv will now get exclusive access to the video versions of our podcasts. In addition, subscribers will have access to our episodes before they air on iTunes or any other free platform. Be sure to visit MakeReady.tv and subscribe today to stream our exclusive content to any device, anywhere, anytime. I'd like to give a shout out to one of our key sponsors, Walther Arms. We've had the pleasure of working with the folks at Walther on numerous projects. They've been a supporter of ours, and we love what they make. Heck, we've even been out to their factory in Ulm, Germany, and had a chance to look, behind the curtain and see what they have in the works, and gotta admit, pretty impressed. So, thanks to the folks at Walther, we have a discount code for you. Looking for some clothing? Save 20% off. Use the code MakeReady during checkout. Jeff Cooper was a visionary, and today Gunsite stands as a testament to his philosophy on firearms training. Gunsite is truly America's premier firearms training center.
And of course, a very, very clever, intelligent thing he did was to take on Sheriff Ken Campbell to be the chief operations officer. But as far as I'm concerned, things went up from there for sure.
Gunsite's been known for its instructors. We've got about 10 full-time staff members.
This is Ken Campbell, CEO of Gunsite.
Now that's myself, our marketing director, the training director, our great maintenance staff, our pro shop, and so on. So we've got about 10 full-time folks there, but then we have between about 50 and 60 adjunct faculty. Again, the law enforcement, military, physicians, hunters that are either retired or active duty. They make up the core of our staff, and they have all these years. And these folks come in 2 weeks a year, 6 weeks a year, depending on their leave time, their vacation time, or if they're retired, how much of their family time that they're willing to give back to us, to give back to our client base. So we've got about 10 full-time folks, 11 actually, and we've got about between 50 and 60 of our adjunct faculty.
The thing that makes Gunsite special is the instructor cadre. It is. It's not just one of them or two of them or 5 of them or 12 of them. It's all of them. It's the group, because these guys can step in one right behind the other one and pick up a class and run with it. If you come here, if you come to Gunsite and you take the 250, the basic entry-level class. You take that class, and then you want to come back in 3 months or a year and take the next level class. You can fall right into that, because our core doctrine has limits, and it's structured such that when you'll do in every class, whether you took it this year or last year, you'll do the same thing on the same day of the week. On Wednesdays we do this, on Thursdays we do this, on Friday we do this. And so if you come in to step up to the next level, that instructor knows what you had the last day you were in class here. He knows what your training is. He knows what your background is. So there's no lapse, there's no break, there's no catch up, and there's no left behind. That's how good these guys are. And they do this through 3 levels of pistol training, 3 levels of carbine training, 2 levels of shotgun training, and then the automatic weapons that we deal with. They know what that is. So it's structured, and it's structured to the point that everybody knows where you left off.
The expertise of Gunsite and its world-famous curriculum isn't just helpful to civilians. American law enforcement and military agencies often utilize Gunsite as part of their training regimen.
Gunsite's known for its client base and the great people we have. I mean, we're fortunate to have military, special units of the military, the SEALs, the Special Boat, Force Recon, and so on. We have the different alphabet agencies that come in. We offer foreign weapons packages for some of those folks that work for some of those agencies that are going places. Law enforcement, again, I was law enforcement, but our bread and butter, our everyday clients are you. It's the little old lady who's a door greeter at Walmart. It's your friends that live down the street that are now recognizing the world is not the place it once was or what they believed it to be, and they need to get good training so they can learn how to take care of themselves and their families. It's like Colonel Cooper said, just because you own a piano does not make you a musician. And fortunately, a lot more and more people are recognizing, I want this to protect myself, but I need to learn. So the clients we have here are great people. They are eager to learn. And when you get that message back from that citizen, that earth person that says this works, or you get that email from that Navy chief that says, that's deployed, that says, you guys saved my life. You don't know what that does for our staff, the great instructors, to know that what we have done is so worthwhile.
While Gunsite is slow to make any changes to its doctrine, the staff and instructors make up a diverse cross-section of experts who have and will make necessary updates to its training procedures. Here is Corey Trapp, current instructor at Gunsite.
It's been an evolution in the training material, of course. Every time we turn around, we're looking to improve things. So there have been a certain number of changes to what might be called doctrine. Certainly the facilities improvements are phenomenal. We've gone from a mere couple of 100 acres to nearly 3,000. Firing ranges from arm's length to over 2,000 meters. The ability now to do things in the classroom with electronic media. For example, I have cameras, long-range cameras. We have cameras in the shoot houses. We just have so much more than we did back then that it makes it considerably easier for us to do a lot of the training.
It's easy to find why you would want to come to a pistol class, because a pistol is basically and conceptually a defensive administration. It's a weapon to save your life. Its purpose is to stop the fight that somebody else starts. That's something that sometimes confuses people on the other side. It's a fight-stopping device. It has much the same capacity as a seatbelt in a car. It's something you're not going to use very often, but if you need to use it, it's awfully nice to have.
Of the notable Gunsite graduates, Panteo instructor Dave Spalding is a teacher who often returns to Gunsite for a class to further hone his skills.
To this day, I still like going to Gunsite. I'm a graduate of their courses now, many years later. And every time I go out there, I'm always impressed with the staff. I'm always impressed with the facility. I'm always impressed with how friendly they teach me or treat me. There's never any arrogance. They're always willing to help. They're always willing to listen to other points of view. You know, I think the misconception a lot of people have is that the staff out there is fully regimented in the modern technique of the pistol and they hear nothing else. And that's the furthest from the truth. They have open conversations about things. They tell you why they like what they do, and they give you very coherent arguments for that. But they're very open-minded. Points of view, have lots of conversations. In the last 5 years that I've had my training company, I've had a number of Gunsite instructors in my classes. And they're very always open-minded. When they take my classes, they try to do it my way, even though it may not be the modern technique of the pistol. The same way that when I go out there, I try to do it their way. Why wouldn't you? You know, you're gonna go out to Gunsite and take a class, why would you not try their method? You know that you don't know what you don't know, and so until you try it, you really don't know if it's gonna work for you or not. So, going out to Prescott, you know, hanging out in that really neat town and going out to Gunsite and taking training and seeing that facility, it's just like no other place.
Consequently, when we ask you why you want to come here, why you want to take a pistol class, we don't have much trouble having you answer that question. You want to be able to stay alive if it comes to you. And of course it may.
Everybody that teaches combative pistol craft teaches some form of Jeff Cooper's format. And I know I'm totally different than Gunsite. No, you're not. If you teach grip, stance, trigger control, and you teach a ready position, and you present from the holster, and you teach reloads, and you teach malfunctions, you teach that format, you're teaching Jeff Cooper's original defensive pistol course, because that's his format. And it's such a good format that everybody's copied it. Whether they're teaching a Weaver stance, they're teaching an isosceles stance, they load out here, they load in here, they clear a malfunction like this or like this. It's still Colonel Cooper's format. It was that good, it was that ahead of its time. And for no other reason, I think if you're a serious student of combative pistol craft, you should go to Gunsite, because in a nutshell, that's where it all started.
We do not claim that we can make you into masters. Only you can do that. But we do have a masterful series of teachers, people who not only can do what we expect them to do with the weapon, but have vast experience in teaching and actually in many cases in combat.
I'm Fernando Coelho, president of MakeReady.tv and Pantier Productions. You may know us from our videos, our firearms training, our survival series, and our documentaries. But now you will get the Make Ready experience in podcast form. We all know the movie Black Hawk Down, a film retelling the story of the soldiers who fought against all odds in Somalia in 1993. We are excited to be the only podcast having the true story from a man who lived through the battle. We will be releasing a multi-episode series based on an interview with Paul Howe, a U.S. Army Delta soldier who fought for his life.
Today, I want to talk with you about our nation's military involvement in Somalia.
Dead American soldiers being dragged through the streets of Mogadishu near where the fighting was concentrated last night and early into this morning.
Those kids could have been moved 5 feet to a doorway, had good cover, laid down just effective fire. Instead, he put them in a street in an undefensible position. And what happens at that point, they stayed there because they're good soldiers, and they got hit. I attribute that to lack of leadership.
It was a race at that point, because you have all the Somalis, the SNA, the militia, racing to get to the helicopter, and you had us racing to get to the helicopter.
I'm going to go through my rifle, go through my shotgun, go through my pistol, knife if I have to, grenades, pick up an enemy weapon, stay in the fight.
Those who attack our soldiers must know they will pay a very heavy price.
They can come from here, they can come from there. I thought we were going to get overrun. I actually got to a point where I just kind of looking and saying, okay, this is it, let's draw this line in the sand. Anybody crosses that line, they die.
It's amazing to listen to all these instructors, people that have been in and around this famed institution for so many years. It makes you wonder, what would the landscape of firearms training be without Jeff Cooper and Gunsite?
Well, Gunsite was literally the first commercial entity to do firearms training on a large scale. Without Jeff's influence on creating such a training program, somebody else would have had to come up with it, and I don't know who would have. I don't know who I would have pointed to as a person to come up with the entire training concept. Of course, a lot of that credit belongs to an unsung individual named John Plon, who met Jeff early on in the days of Big Bear and was a great influence on Jeff even creating the school. John actually came up with the 5.5-day curriculum setup along with Jeff. The two of them formulated the plan. Without Gunsite, I don't know that you'd see the commercial schools that you see today. Somebody else would have had to come up with the idea.
Interestingly, the difference between Gunsite and many of the other shooting schools is it seems like you attend other schools because there's a particular individual that you want to learn from. You want to hear what this instructor's got to say or that instructor's got to say, or in the case of some of these fan types, they want to just like bask in their aura. That's not the case at Gunsite. At Gunsite, it really doesn't matter who the instructor is. They're all excellent. You go out to Gunsite for the doctrine, for the Jeff Cooper doctrine. And of course, it's been tweaked over the years and they've come up with new methods. But you go out there for that original thought process. You go out there for that facility. You go out there for the history of Gunsite. And I don't know of any other training institution, at least in the area of firearms, that's like that.
It's a philosophy of ours, teaching this matter for several generations, that you are outgunned only if you miss.
I think in today's environment, I think that we're going to continue to grow, and we're going to continue to influence increasing numbers of Americans in their lives, because this is an experience that you can't say no to. This is an experience you never forget. This is an experience that changes your life. You will never live your life the same way after coming to Gunsite for any class. It will change your life. It'll change the way you look at the world. You'll be more alert. You'll be more nimble. You'll be more aware. And when you can identify a crisis developing before it becomes one, and that provides you the option of either defuse it or leave. And so either way, depending on your situation, is the right way to handle it. And for that reason, and the increasing numbers of people that we have will be out spreading the word of mouth. And for those reasons, Gunsite will continue to prosper for as long as we have America.
The greatest influence Jeff Cooper had on me is in helping me be a better instructor. In going back and teaching mindset, and going back and teaching people to be better marksmen. But the mindset part is the most crucial. I can remember coming in as I was with the sheriff's office 35 years, worked my way up through the ranks to being the sheriff. But I was operations captain, and I can remember coming in on day shift about 8 a.m., and night shift had stayed over from 6 a.m. They could have gone home, but they stayed over, and they're like, "Oh, boss, this happened last night, and we could have shot this guy, but we didn't have to because we did everything right." Well, that's a huge win. So when you can have influence on people, that even though ability, opportunity, jeopardy, all those threats were there where they could have pressed the trigger, they knew because of their mindset, their training abilities, they didn't have to, and they handled it differently. Several lives were impacted positively there. Certainly mine, but that was a result of the mindset training that I got at Gunsite from Jeff Cooper, from the master himself.
Jeff Cooper retired from instruction at the end of 2003, but continued to live at the sconce with his wife, Janelle. Jeff Cooper passed away on September 25, 2006, and was buried in a tomb on the Gunsite property. Students to this day still visit Jeff Cooper's burial site to leave mementos.
I do not think even Jeff, who was a dreamer and a creator of wonderful ideas and who knew how to make them happen, would ever have imagined Gunsite at this point being so necessary. It's kind of sad commentary on our state of our nation that Gunsite is so necessary. But more and more people are concerned about keeping themselves safe just in walking down the street, and definitely fearful of home invasions and so on, that they would need extra training and that they would carry a lethal weapon and have to learn how to use it. It's a sad commentary, but there it is, and certainly Gunsite is much, much larger, busier, and more important than I think even Jeff might have imagined.
Janelle Cooper passed away peacefully in July of 2019 at 99 years of age. Janelle was very much the driving force for Jeff throughout his life. Being able to have her interview for this podcast provided incredible insight into the story. School shootings, terrorist attacks, and then of course your garden variety crimes like home invasions, armed robbery. There's a lot of reasons to get proficient in the use of a firearm, but it's the mindset that remains the underlying benefit of a classic gun sight. Here is Robbie Barkman, the first Gunsite instructor Jeff Cooper hired.
Today's teachings are all based on actual shootings, what they've done, and Jeff was a big proponent of this. Every time a student would be involved in a shooting, Jeff would call him and talk to him about it and say, so what happened? How did it go down? How did you respond? What did you feel? What did you think? We know all of these things today. We have a huge database of actual empirical information that has come from real shootings, not somebody's supposition. We have experience, we have life experience or death experience in some cases. We've learned a lot from that, and if it wasn't for Gunsite and Jeff's vision and foresight and his total dedication to this, I don't think we'd have come very far at all. I really don't. I think Jeff was a huge metamorphosis to the whole industry. Actually, if you think of all the schools in the early days, all the way from California back to Missouri, they were all people that had worked either for Jeff or under Jeff or been students of Jeff. And to this very day, although some of the young guys don't know who Jeff Cooper was, they totally owe their survival and their existence to the teachings of Jeff Cooper. You know, everybody tries to change the system and put their name on it, but the egg is the egg. You can call it anything you like. Gunsite was the egg, and there's no way you can change that as much as they try.
Gunsite and Jeff Cooper has had such an impact on firearms training throughout the world. He was one of the first to be able to take his knowledge of education and teaching and his knowledge of shooting and meld them together into a lesson plan. And Gunsite started out as a laboratory for pistol work at the American Pistol Institute, so he could study that and apply these principles and theories and see how well it did work. And these theories and principles, these theories have turned into principles. And they are taught worldwide, whether it is the 4 safety rules, whether it is different derivations of our presentation of the pistol, how we work the trigger, look at the sights, and so on. That has had and will have impact on shooters for several generations. Whether you're a cowboy action shooter shooting that single action army, or whether it's on in the future and you're Han Solo with his blaster, the principles of gun handling, marksmanship, and mindset are going to be there. And it's stunning what that impact has been and will continue to be.
Over the decades, I and associates of mine have evolved ways of teaching people to use sidearms very efficiently. But the question is whether that matters or not. When you have a case where you have an easy target at close range, what good is marksmanship? Do you need it? Does it matter? An example, not too long ago in West Los Angeles, a young couple were beset by a goblin on the second deck of their apartment who pushed them in through their open door and proceeded about his business of assault and robbery and so on. And to start with, he ordered the young man to lie down on the floor and put his hands behind him so he could tie them. Well, he more or less disregarded the girl, and then he had to do something with the gun, you know. You can't tie a man's hands with a gun in your hand. So he put the pistol in his belt. And while he knelt behind this young man to tie his hands with something in mind in the future, I suppose, this girl just lifted the gun out of his belt and killed him with it. Now, when the muzzle is touching the target, marksmanship is really not all that critical.
Gunsite's special to me for a couple of reasons. One is our clients. Again, we've got the best people in the world. I like to say that you may go to your family reunion and there may be some of those folks there that you just don't want to really interact with in there. Well, this is the Gunsite family, and I can count on one hand and not use very many digits the people that I don't want to interact with here, the clients that I've met. They want to be here, they're of like mindset, and they want to learn the best way to protect themselves, their families, their loved ones, their constituents, their jurisdiction. And that's an impressive thing. So that's very special, our client base. The other thing that's very special here is our instructors. With all due respect to the late Colonel Cooper and Mrs. Cooper, his widow, who founded us, and Buzz and Sonia Mills, our current owners that keep us going. With all due respect to them, Gunsite's been here 40 years because of the instructor cadre. We've got the best in the business. They are subject matter experts in their area. They're real world people. They're law enforcement, they're military, or they're subject matter experts, for instance, our physicians or our safari hunters. They're subject matter experts that are out there interacting every day, so they get that real world report so that we can stay current on how to best help you stay alive. So Gunsite was founded by Colonel Cooper and got us going, but even then he surrounded himself with great instructors. Class number 1, Bruce Nelson was one of his instructors. Well, Bruce Nelson's a legend certainly in the holster business, but also he was a very good policeman and carried on in a fighting mindset as well. So right from the very beginning, Colonel Cooper, as Ronald Reagan, I believe, said, surrounded himself with good people that he trusted and he empowered them to act. He was the guiding force behind the modern technique. But then as we have moved forward, the modern technique has evolved. But not in the Gun of the Month Club or the Technique of the Week. Certainly not there. We only teach what works, what we know works based on the after-action reports we are getting from the Sandbox to Detroit to Miami to Lebanon, Indiana. We get these reports back, and that's what we do. So we have been here these 40 years, and it's special because of the great clients we have and the tremendous instructors that we have had and will continue to have.
It's not, I repeat, very hard. There are only a couple of small principles you have to remember when somebody's trying to kill you. And that is concentrate on the use of your firearm. Just two things. Those of you who have been to school realize those two things are your front sight and your trigger control. That's all. You can't think about anything else. You have to be sure that you're not letting anything distract you. Now, you say, well, the man's trying to shoot me. That distracts me. I say, blank it out. Don't let that happen. Now, I don't speak from theory. I have now well over 50 cases of students of mine who, after having been trained, have, as we say, met the elephant. And not one of those people has told me after that, after a successful outcome, that he did so because he was a particularly good shot. He said, I won that fight because I was thinking the way you taught me to think. And that is the answer.
We hope you enjoyed this series on Gunsite. For the exclusive video from this podcast, visit MakeReady.tv and subscribe to watch this and all our video podcasts.